when the bomb went off at Hiroshima, I was a instructor at West Point, instructing cadets and so forth. And that turned that was a shock to everybody. Of course, one bomb wipes out a city, and we were saying at the time that that's war. That's the end of war. We can't fight anymore because it's a luxury. The weaponry has turned from relative to absolute. And Einstein said it, this is not a war weapon anymore. You can't give this to competitive nation states. And from then on, Einstein was a firm proponent of world government. Now, the interesting thing about my situation was the minute I renounced my nationality, I said, now I'm going to exercise my personal sovereignty as a human being because I have the political choice now. I'm free. I'm free of all the nations. I'm outside the nations. So now I'm going to exercise my political choice and call myself a world citizen. I'm going to put world and citizen together. And nobody could deny that. That's why I'm called the first world citizen. I legalize myself. We have to rethink our whole political ideas. The politics of today, that is the nation state politics of today, are totally obsolete. They go back into the 18th and 19th century, the age of the horse, you might say. How can you unite the nations? Even the words are wrong. They use two words. It's an oxymoron. Nations, by definition, cannot unite because they're sovereign, okay? Everybody in Europe said the United Nations is nothing more than an extension of the League of Nations. And the League of Nations blew up in our face into World War II. So they were not taken in by the United Nations, and especially the intellectuals, especially the writers, Albert Camus and André Breton, and so forth and so on. They were all wondering now, what is the new symbol of peace? Because now we can't afford war anymore. So I went to the top civil rights lawyers in New York and I said, what is my status? They said, you're a sovereign citizen. You're a sovereign. You have all these world citizens out there who have claimed to be sovereign human beings, sovereign world citizens, but you have no government. Where's your government? You're going to be treated like this for the rest of your life unless you have your own government. And that was a legal decision that they took. Citizenship and government are corollaries. You see, they go together. If you call yourself a world citizen, you're like a micro world government. But now we needed a meta world government. We needed to combine all the world citizens together in one government. And that happened on September 4th, 1953. You know that there are hundreds of thousands of people, no, 5 million people now registered as world citizens. Your registration, your exercise of sovereignty as a world citizen unites us in a peaceful contract with each other. That's world peace. Nothing to do with the nations. We've transcended the nations. We're living in one world. We're the human race. It's our world, and we're claiming it, etc. politically. There's no doubt because it's self-evident. If I say you're born from your mother's womb into the world, you can't deny that. If I say you're a fellow human being like I am, you can't deny that. If I say your DNA code and my DNA code are the same, you can't deny that. So this is real. Nobody can deny what I'm saying. It's the only guarantee for peace, the only guarantee. That's what Einstein said. Einstein said mankind's desire for peace can be realized only by the creation of a world government. With all my heart, I believe that the world's present system of sovereign nations can only lead to barbarism, war, and inhumanity, and that only world law can assure progress towards a civilized, peaceful community. Now, this is Einstein, but Socrates, 2,500 years ago, said He called himself a world citizen. The ancient Greeks, 2000 BC, called themselves cosmopolites. This is the oldest idea in human history. There's nothing new about world citizenship. All the great sages, all the leaders, all the intellectual leaders from time immemorial have all said we are world citizens. Time and distance have collapsed. Children of 6 years old are sitting in front of their computers going online. You can't tell a child of 10 years old that there's anything like a nation. So you can't tell, they're not there. They're in the world already. If you can open your computer and go online on the internet and see anywhere in the world, get any information, Google anybody and so forth, then there's no frontiers. But then we have to complement that politically. See, that's where we don't have the education. Not only are we a species from a biological point of view, but we're a species from a conceptual point of view. We have concepts like love and justice and fairness and wisdom and reason and kindness and courage. These are all concepts. These are all value systems. And we operate on these value systems all the time. We use them within our family, within our community, and within our nation. But once you get outside the nation, then all these concepts go out the window. But then we have to rethink our allegiance. You see, this is what we're talking about here. To what do we give our allegiance? Well, we have to give it to humanity because humanity's in danger, as I started off. Every city is bound by the same code. The code is called the one and the many. The mayor of every city in Austria is allied in principle with every other mayor of every other city throughout the world. Why? Because when you're living in a city, there's the citizen and the group of the people in the city, the townspeople, the whole group. So there's the one and the many. So that's the same thing. That's what mondialization is all about. So that's how a city can relate itself to all other cities. There's a world groups of mayors. They get together all over the world every year, and they're all talking the same language. How do you control where's your water supply? Where's your parking space? What's your control of traffic? And so, it's the same language. It's too late. It's too late, the European Union. The world is too small now. It's just one world, period. And it's maybe an indication of unification, but it's setting up a union with a frontier outside of it. Well, some people are afraid that you might catch a cold. So don't go out in the cold. Don't go out in bare feet. Come on. What difference does it make what some people think? That never stopped the pioneers of the world, the guys who said, I'm going to make a better thing. Buckminster Fuller said one thing. If you want to change something, don't fight the existing reality. Make a new model and make the existing reality obsolete. Well, it is a one-man show. And it's each man's show. When you become a world citizen, then you're the man. The world revolves around you. Okay? You look at that in that way, yeah, we're all here alone. You're in my world, but I'm in your world. The nation state is a fiction which has been created in the past by human beings. And the perfect example is the United States of America. When these 55 guys got together in Independence Hall in 1787, they didn't have any instructions from their states to create a higher level, the United States. But they had 3 million people on the eastern seaboard in their little states, New York and New Hampshire and Maryland and so forth. And they couldn't even get goods from one state to another. So no laws between the states. It was like a little United Nations. So these 55 guys, without any instructions, said, okay, we've got to imagine a higher level of government. Einstein said that imagination is more important than intelligence. Everything that's been invented has to be imagined first, including politics. Yeah, that's a tragedy. It's a contradiction of what the Olympics started off as. The Olympics started off, when the Olympics started, there were no nations. They were city-states, but the premise of the Olympics is who's the fastest, who's the strongest, who's the brightest, etc. All these things. And it has nothing to do with states. Well, if you have a field of play and you have two teams and everybody agrees to the rules, and if you break the rules and the whistle blows from the referee and the game stops, that's fine. See, that's when competition becomes interesting. And my team, your team, et cetera, et cetera. But the same game, if you play it between nations, there's no referee out there. And the field is global. And there are no rules. And that's what I did when I was 22 years old. I was in a new game, win, lose, but it's called war. Win the war, win the war. So that game continues through our youth. We have to recognize that we have to have rules out there in the world.